Welcome back. You're in the Politbureau. There were 2 arson attempts and various other acts of sabotage at the Department of Health headquarters in Pretoria this week, the same week as the deadly Johannesburg fire. Public Works says while it cannot confirm if these attempts might be related to the fire in Johannesburg, they are strange.
How do you have attempted arson in the headquarters of health 3 days ago? The following day, there's this fire in health in the province. Yesterday, there's another attempted arson. Is this a coincidence? We want those who are doing the investigation must investigate. There might be a lot of issues. We don't know. There might be a lot of issues. So that's the question which we're asking. But we're very suspicious that there might be connections. We might be wrong. We might be right, we don't know, but investigations will tell us.
Well, Nlesi says the truth will come out only after a thorough investigation.
The fire has started in the Chief Director's office, in the legal unit, and we know that there's been a lot of investigation.
Well, joining us to unpack the idea that hiding sabotage and corruption is behind these fires, investigative journalist Paulie van Wyk from the Daily Mavericks investigative unit Scorpio. The Public Works Department was unable to provide a representative to come on the Politbureau at short notice. So it's just you and me, Paulie. Let's start off by asking, what do you think of Public Works painting the picture of sabotage as the real reason behind these fires when we've seen that at least in the Johannesburg deadly fire at the Lisbon building, the building was derelict?
It might be, and it might also not be, but the root cause of what it actually showed then is that there are serious problems with the buildings that they house people in. And we need answers, and definite answers, and very quick answers to those questions. Because I've listened to the interviews that you just had, and I heard intentions and concerns. I didn't hear answers to the questions that you asked. I did not hear of any quick action that will be taken. I did not hear that people will be taken out of the derelict buildings. We did not hear why there was no water in the emergency sprinklers. We did not hear why the water pressure was low, why there were no water on some of the floors, why there was people inside those buildings. And that is what's important here. If it was sabotage or not, they must get their house in order. We just want our people to be safe.
Indeed. Well, let's just remind our viewers, the NCA spoke to a contractor supposedly engaged to revamp this building. He argued that the tender was given not because of skills, but because of connections. Let's hear from Professor Keith Bennett now. He was engaged to do redo the air conditioning at the Bank of Lisbon building.
How did a tender go to someone that was so incompetent? And you're talking, when we asked him, he said about 50 million rand. How do you give someone a tender of 50 million rand for a building, such a big building? Notwithstanding, he said to us, if we accept this job, there's about 7 other buildings that they're also busy with. And when I looked at the news, I realized the probability is that all the government buildings was given to this one particular person. And if they were 2 years behind schedule, and talking about a building as fully occupied, no ventilation, no air conditioning, no water in the water tanks in the case of emergency, that means that this building has been in a state of derelict for many years.
So, Paulie, you've worked extensively in uncovering corruption, and to me, is this not indicative of just that? Someone getting government work that they plainly don't have the skills to deliver on, but got as a result of connections, perhaps?
It certainly do look that way, and we need to ask these questions again from the politicians that were here. We didn't hear them say anything about the process. We didn't hear them say anything about the service providers, and it's clear that they're sort of keeping the information away, either because they do not know, which is a problem because they should be able to tell us, or that they were either complicit in some way. And they need to start talking about what actually happened, why these people were inside those buildings, and why these contractors got a contract when they couldn't do the work.
Those are the very basic questions we're hoping that will be answered in the days and the weeks to come. In an election year, I mean, this is a tough pill to swallow for not only the electorate that need to decide who they want to vote for, but as a ruling party, the ANC, they're in charge of the Gauteng government. How do you spin something like this? I mean, how do you answer questions about a tender process being rigged and ensuring that the work is not carried out, but the money is paid over?
Yeah, tough questions. Let us level ourselves just on a legal perspective on this. So there are these arguments that because of the corruption, people died in this building. Now, we must remember that there's no direct causal link between the two, and you won't initiate court procedures and hold someone accountable in a criminal type of case. But when we look at the morals and the ethics of the matter, there's definitely questions to be asked, and again, especially in a political year like this, running up to elections next year, it doesn't matter actually what the legalities are. The bare facts stand with us that there are corruption in government and public works with contractors that can't do the work that they're supposed to do. Government buildings are derelict. They house people that shouldn't be there, and then there is a fire and it can't be properly managed and people die. And that is difficult to answer if you need votes.
Indeed. I mean, riding roughshod over morals and ethics doesn't send you to jail, but we'll wait and see in the next year whether or not it costs votes at the end of the day. I mean, all indications are that the ANC will still get above 50% nationally. Perhaps government in Gauteng is a little bit tenuous, but as we end off the conversation, Paulie, where do we go from here? I mean, the Gauteng government has promised a thorough investigation. They've promised answers to all of these questions. But when we ask them, to me, it just sounds like obfuscation. So what is the level-headed way to approach this moving forward?
And it sounds as if they're going to take some time to give us those answers, and that is also a problem. We need, we need proper answers, and we need them very quick. But we also need the DA and the EFF to start working on a plan to save the buildings, and that will win them votes, especially with the run-up to this election year.
It's going to be a very, very tough election year. Paulie van Wyk from the Daily Mavericks investigative unit, Scorpio. Thank you for joining us on the Politbureau. Tough to leave that engaging discussion. But when we come back, could AfriForum unite parties from across the political divide on the issue of land expropriation without compensation?